This is actually one of my favorite times of year to lead a class because it is the season of Blue Monday. If you haven't heard about this before, they say that Blue Monday is the saddest day of the year. Somebody set to it calculating what would make a season sad, and it has to do with like the weather is bad. The holiday bills have rolled in by now, but the holiday joy is over. And for those of us who think the holiday season is stressful, we're like finally recovering. And then I found out that actually this was just an idea cooked up by the travel industry to get people to book more flights around this time of year. So call it a scam or conspiracy theory or whatever you want to call it. But there is some truth to it, like with any idea. It is kind of a blue time of year, right? It is, and I don't want to call it an antisocial time of year, a non-social time of year, as much as we might want to get together with people as a principle or concept. You look outside and it's cold. Yesterday around 3:30, I was like, oh, it's cooling down. It's getting dark. I'm about ready to turn in. And then I looked at the clock and it was 3:39. Oh, God. So, okay. Even though Blue Monday isn't like a real hard science concept, I think it is a hard beneficial concept. So this is my challenge to you today and over the next week or so is to anticipate what will be bringing you down and kind of plan around it. So if you know the hours of daylight are short, set a timer on your phone to remind you to turn the lights on around sunset or something like that. Write down the name of a friend you want to phone if you feel you need a social boost, that kind of thing. So there's my challenge to you. And then I will offer you today is some tools that you can use to kind of navigate the Blue Monday season. Okay, let me see if okay. Another concept I will add on is that we don't have to like it. We don't suddenly have to be like, yay, I have my little plan. I remembered to, use my mood boosting essential oil. I'm fine. We'll do sort of a meditation around accepting and riding the waves of whatever is to come, acknowledging that we may feel crummy. It is what I like to call the depths of winter, and we don't have to fix it, we don't have to force it. So I will give us some tools to attempt to shift into a brighter space. If it doesn't happen, I'll give us some tools to just kind of ride it out, acknowledging that. All right, let's start with some tapping. We'll do just a brief little tap, and sometimes tapping goes on for quite some time. And I'll keep it simple so that we can ABT, always be tapping. So that it is at our fingertips, ha ha ha, terrible tapping joke. When we're in a state, we can use this tool to shift our state. So we'll go a fairly simple tap. I'm going to try to keep my eye on my script. Usually I teach with like a clipboard or I don't know. I didn't think ahead to set up a desk today. We'll do our best. So we'll start tapping on the outside of our karate chop point. Sitting tall, breathing evenly, bringing our awareness into the space around us, just acknowledging, here we are, it is a Monday night, it's dark outside, it is winter. Noticing all parts of our body that we're aware of feeling, like our feet on the floor, the feeling of the chair against us, our clothing against our skin. So if our thoughts are kind of running around, this is a way we can pull them into the here and now. So if you've never done tapping before, you can just watch me, you can copy me, you can repeat after me, take what you like, leave what you don't. Right now, I am opening myself up to an emotional shift. You can repeat the same thing. Let's do it twice more. Right now, I'm opening myself up to an emotional shift. Right now, I'm opening myself up to an emotional shift. Okay, and then you have to fill in the blanks for the next two. Right now, I feel so. I really mean it. I just feel. And instead, I wish I could feel, fill in the blank. So I'm allowing myself to shift. I relax my eyes. I release my jaw. I breathe fully. I am safe. And I am okay. And then it may feel good to give the hands a little shake. We will do a focus today on our grief or worry area of the body according to the chakra system and traditional Chinese medicine. So it might feel good to do a little rub on our sternum. Some people like to do a knock or kind of a Tarzan gorilla thing. So sometimes if we have that like really wired kind of energy, feel free to go for it, especially if nobody's watching, or maybe if they could benefit from it too, really go for it. I just avoid any knocking because of the microphone. And then let's do a gentle sweep down the length of each arm. So in traditional Chinese medicine, down the length of each arm is our line for grief or worry. And then the heart space in yoga, same idea, grief or worry, and the element of air. So we'll do some breath practices here today. To encourage this shift into feeling good, I'll give you my mudra for 2026. This is the one I'm focusing on, our mudra for inner smile. So it's a hand position that represents an inner smile. Our pinkies sort of pinkies up, and then we hold our hands up again to give this lifted, strong kind of presence. We can allow the corners of our mouths to lift. And then if we would like a more optimistic body position, we can lift the chin while closing the eyes. So the name of the mudra is the mudra for inner smile. Closing the eyes can help us to turn our energy inward, but it can also allow that smile to be more internal than external. And actually the direction of the eyes, because the eyes are so close to the brain, send a strong signal. So if we are looking up, but with our eyes closed, this sends a signal to the brain that we are feeling peaceful. So we sort of got this uplifted body position, our mudra for inner smile, and then this peaceful facial expression. If we're thinking about the travel agency encouraging us to book a trip, maybe we're picturing the sun radiating down on us from a beautiful tropical location. Bringing that warmth and heat inside our hearts. Breathing deeply into our heart space. So we know we can drop the arms at any time if we get tired. Otherwise, let's give it just 2 more rounds of breath here. As we're ready to do so, we can release the arms. We'll focus some attention on the length of the arms, our heart space. Keep it in a comfortable range of motion. You can dial it back anytime you like. We'll start with shoulder rolls, especially since we just had our arms up. It can be nice to let the arms be heavy. We can rest hands on thighs, or we can let the arms hang heavy beside us if we're in a chair, or resting on the floor if we're on the floor. And I'll do a little bit of back and forth between the chair and the floor. No need to be in a chair with me if you usually practice on the floor. Okay, we'll slide our shoulder blades all the way down, and then slide our fingertips all the way down to create some length in our necks. And we'll work in opposition. So let's press away with one hand, and then reach so we create a diagonal line, ear to shoulder. So if you're reaching away with your right hand, then we're taking left ear to left shoulder. And I found out kind of a cool fact recently. It's traditional in yoga practices to begin with neck and shoulder rolls. And now the lymphatic system is having its real 15 minutes of fame. Okay, let's switch sides. pressing away, reaching away, and I hope it's not just 15 minutes. I hope that all the positive press that the lymphatic system has been getting lately in wellness circles stays for the long run, because all of these traditional movements can support our lymphatic system. Really, anything we do for the neck and shoulders gets our lymph fluid flowing in a good way. We'll come back through center. We'll keep the arms kind of heavy. We don't have to do anything with them. Chin to chest. And as much as it feels good, we can roll the head side to side. And neck rolls really went out of fashion for a while because, you know, the 80s aerobics craze and the 20-minute workout came along and people were doing like really ballistic movements of the head. Let's keep it gentle. Let's keep it soothing. So you can move at any speed you like, any range of motion you like. Sometimes it feels good to point the nose upward. Just keep it gentle. Again, we don't want to be really flipping the head back. There may be a time and place for hair flips, but it is not here tonight. If we find any tight spots, like I feel a little bit tighter when I go this way, I'm going to spend more time in this tighter range of motion. And then we can come back through center. Again, reset any way that feels good. And I'll give us a coordination challenge. It's not too much of a coordination challenge. Okay, we take our arms flat, elbows at 90 degrees. Sometimes the wrists start to droop. So maybe this is already a coordination challenge for us. We want to take our eyes to our hands to make sure elbows and fingertips are on the same level. And we're just going to go one up, one down like a robot. And the shoulders can really move with it. And then if we want to take our torso, we can go with it too. So I hope this gets some of the kinks out. It is cold in the winter and the body can kind of get locked down. And then one of my favorites, if you've been with me, we've done this before. Okay, so hands up, again, strong, powerful position. We pull the elbows back. We work in two directions. So we can go ahead and turn the head to the right, and then really squeeze the back of the left shoulder and pull the left elbow back just a bit more. So we could think of our bodies spiraling, and the nose is spiraling in one direction, and the upper back on the left is spiraling in the other direction. Come back through center, we can rest the arms, and then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Super strong. Here we go. Turn the other way. Squeeze the back of the right shoulder. Right elbow moves back. Sometimes the arms kind of have a mind of their own. They start to droop. We might want to look at them and reset. Come back through center, and let's do what my friend calls figure eights. So we sweep hands front and back to kind of release them. I, for whatever reason, like to picture the surface of a lake. Have you ever done this? You just gently take your fingertips across the surface of the water. If you ever were in a boat and you kind of dipped your finger off the edge of the boat or a dock, that's kind of the feeling that I get here. And then we can add our cat and cow. So tucking and lifting, hiding our hearts away, and then lifting hearts to sky. And we can stay seated. I'll show us an option to add some upper body and lower body together. So we can still keep our figure eights going, and we can add our flight of the bird legs, stepping back as we reach back and lift the hearts. So in the winter, how do we walk around or maybe stomp or drag around? Really kind of close down. So we could think of this one as reversing that movement. We're squeezing the back of the body. We could squeeze our glutes, lifting hearts tall as we're building more heat and warmth. challenging our balance and our strength. We can do a big step back. And it may become sort of repetitive for the arms. We can do any other movement that feels somehow useful, big circles, or anything else that feels good. Usually we do our flight of the bird with our cactus arms. So let's give it a few more on each side. Yogi's choice. Okay. Option here, seated or standing. Let's take one arm up. So we'll start on the right side. The left leg is forward. If you're seated, you're seated. Okay, we're gonna reach and then come back through center. Inhale and then come back down. So if we want to add a lot of lower body work, by all means we can. If it is cold in your house or you really like that hip stretch, go for it. What if we're feeling a little cranky in the arm today? We work in a small range of motion, right? Okay, last time here to the top. And then option to hold our lunge or our warrior one, and we can add a tricep stretch. So the right elbow bends. Wherever it lands, it's fine. So I know some of us might be like way down here, but it's still lengthening the same direction. And we could think of this from many angles. We could think of it from our functional ability. It's great to be able to reach in any direction, right? In case you want to scratch an itch or anything like that, there are lots of applications, doing your hair, anything. But in terms of our chakra system and our traditional Chinese medicine, we're thinking about relieving worry, grief, the pressures of the world as we stretch our, okay, let's switch sides. So this would be our lung line or our heart line. Okay. If we did our lunges on one side and we need a break, we don't have to do them on the other. Sometimes it can be good to have an unbalanced practice, but if we're ready to go, we reach up and over. If we want to add our legs bending with our knees, by all means we can. The idea with inhaling as we reach is that it stretches the muscles in between our ribs. Last one here. So we're reaching up to a comfortable landing point and then bending the elbow to a comfortable landing point. And if we're familiar with our tricep stretch, then it probably feels, again, familiar to hold the elbow, and our back foot can be planted or the heel can be raised. Can we hold? Can we breathe evenly? Can we stay uplifted through our hearts, knowing that sometimes as we move the arms, the body kind of wants to tuck in, and that's okay. We can fight against it or we can go with it using our skills of curiosity and observation. Okay, we'll step our feet back together. How are we doing? Okay, we'll do a little bit more to create some heat. So if we're in our chairs, we can step our feet wide. If we're off our chairs, we can step our feet wide. Let's do a variation of sun pose. So I'll show us standing. We inhale up and then sweep down and forward. And I'll give us a little tip for our chair pose as well. So if you are sitting completely straight in your chair, and if you know what you're doing, you got it the first time, go ahead and keep going. Sometimes it might feel like we're going to fall off our chair. If you don't have any arms on the chair, you can actually turn sideways. So the corner of the chair is what comes through. And then it gives us a bit more stability as we lift and lower. So we use whatever tools we have, right? We're using the floor. Different pairs of shoes will have a different impact. Different furniture will have a different impact. But what are we doing? We're warming up a range of motion. We're challenging our core and our balance. The purpose of this pose is actually to loosen up our inner thighs so that we can get more out of our stretches. So we get blood flow going in our inner thighs. It's a good one to fire up our core. So there are lots of different benefits, and then they're just enhanced differently depending on how we're using our furniture. Okay, let's take hands to thighs. Maybe forearms to thighs, and we'll come up and over one way. seeing how that range of motion is hopefully a little looser than it has been. And let's take it up and over the other way. We can take hands or forearms to thighs and enjoying our forward fold here. So keeping in mind blood pressure, dizziness, some of us will have a comfortable stopping point with the head above the heart. Some of us might want to go down. If we're in the chair, we can actually use our hands down the outside of the legs just a little differently. And if we're out of the chair, we can use the floor. So we might need a deeper knee bend to get us there, or we might like to straighten our legs. And wherever we are, again, open curiosity. We can bend our knees one at a time or both together. We can sway our bodies side to side. Remembering our core strength, we can walk up our legs, coming back into a tall spine. And we'll hold a warrior two pose here. So if we are standing, we can use a wall or any other furniture to support our balance. We're bending our right knee over our right ankle, and our left foot is flat. If we're in our chair, again, being on the corner of the chair can be much more helpful while we're here. Coming back to our mudra for inner smile. So our first three fingers come to our thumb, pinkies up, and then extending out in our warrior two. So we're challenging our strength if we're standing and a little bit of flexibility. And if we're seated, actually our inner thighs probably relax more than if we're standing, so they might feel even looser. So it's not like one is necessarily better than the other. They both have benefits. All right, so if we're standing, we can take hand to thigh and then reach up for our side angle. If we have no chair in the way, then that means we can also straighten the leg. So if we're on our chair, the chair is sort of in the way, right? We can do our side angle. If we're standing, we can do side angle, or with a straight leg, a variation of triangle pose. Using our core, we can press off our leg and come back to standing. We'll reorient ourselves to the other side. Pivoting our feet, using our props as necessary. In the chair, you may need to move to the opposite corner to execute our warrior two. Mudra for inner smile, pinkies up, arms stretched long. Pausing here, holding strength, feeling warmth. Option for side angle, we can let our mudra go. Arm to bent leg, and then reaching to the sky. And if we're standing or if we want to pop off the chair, both legs are straight for triangle. Using our core to come back up through center, let's straighten both legs. And we're coming into our wide-legged forward fold here. We'll do as we did before, hopefully looser this time. We can experiment our range of motion, bending one knee at a time or both together. We can take hands to the floor. We can again be in our chair, kind of moving around. We haven't done a lot of rotation today. So that's a nice variation that we can do from our chair. We'll get into rotation in our next pose. If anyone loves wide-legged forward fold and does want to use the chair with it, you can use your hands to the back of the chair or the seat of the chair. Hands or forearms, actually. Forearms can be a lot more stable. Facing the seat of the chair or hands on the back of the chair. Just as another way to play with our props. If we already have our chair and we know we're going to be holding a pose for several rounds of breath, then we have the time to kind of play with it, experiment with it. Maybe we'll find a new favorite. And then sometimes we think we found a new favorite and we go back to it a different day and it doesn't quite work the same because we're different every day, right? Let's all come to a seated position. If anyone is on the mat, you can do your best approximation of a twisted seated pigeon. Think about that for a second. Okay, so we have both feet planted. We can do just the upper body. If we want to make it fancy, we can add the lower body as well. So our right ankle can come over our left ankle. So we just have a little rotation. If we can get it all the way up to our thigh, then we have more rotation. Okay, so right over left. If you go backwards, you'll be fine. But let's see if we can go the right way. So we're going to turn towards the top knee, which means that we're turning towards the right side. I say this because some people go backwards. We can take our hand to opposite knee, turning and careful that we don't hit our elbow into our chair. We can even use our chair to help us sit tall. Depending on if we have an arm on the chair, we might hold onto that arm on the chair. Some people like to drape their right arm behind the chair. And we'll be here for a few more rounds of breath. Again, it depends on our furniture. Some of us may actually like to sit sideways in the chair and hold the back of the chair. Inhale sits us a little taller. Our exhale can pull us a little deeper. Coming back through center. Let's set it up on the other side. Okay, so we have left over right, either low or high. We're sitting tall. Turning to twist, we can use our chair for support. We can take hand to opposite thigh. And there's the option to stay straight in the chair, or we can turn so that we have the back of the chair to help us out, turning towards the back of the chair. So this is one of the rare poses where it's quite nice to have an arm on the chair, because you can hold the arm of the chair to hold you in the pose without working so hard. Let's experiment. We can hold the back of the chair, the seat of the chair, I don't know what to call these supports, or not hold it at all. Holding steady, scanning head to toe, releasing any areas that we feel we're gripping. Adding an appropriate amount of muscular tension to keep us here, without clenching or putting forth too much effort. Back through center. We can shake it out however it feels good. We'll do some more twists towards the end of the practice, which we're almost there. So we know how we can twist now using the chair, I hope. Let's check out our range of motion as we're twisting more freely. We might want to come right to the edge of the chair facing forward. If you're on the mat, you don't have anything else around you, you're fine. Let's flow with our breath. We're inhaling up and then twisting with our exhale. So I want to get us comfortable in the chair so that we know what we're doing when I demonstrate from the mat, I hope. Once more each way. Can we really give it a little bit more strength this time on the last one? And then we're coming back through. Okay, we've moved our spines in all directions. We've moved our shoulders all around. Let's hold our stretches a little bit longer. So we can interlace and stretch forward to stretch the back of the shoulder. And then while we're here, seeking out any tight spots might feel good to adjust side to side. May feel good to add just the weight of our hands on the back of the head. So we're not yanking, super gentle. Moving in the opposite direction, we can all take hands to the back of the head, just fingertips on the back of the head or behind the ears, elbows open wide. Looking and tilting up. And then if we want some support for the head as we go deeper, we can overlap or interlace hands behind the head, lifting our hearts further. And once we're here, if it feels good, again, we can take our bodies side to side, kind of navigate around to seek out any tight spots. Coming back through center to reset. We've got one more here. We can hold the chair or we can press down into the mat, pulling our hearts forward and through one more time. So this is a nice one again. If we have the chair, we can hold the supports or the side of the chair. Trying to think about what kind of chair you may have at home. If it's wider, probably easier to press the seat of the chair. If it's narrower, maybe easier to reach back and sit further forward. And we can actually pull the hands away from one another to activate this range of motion. So we could just hold passively, super gentle, let our breath and our patience do the work, or if we want a little more gusto in this one, we're firmly holding the chair without gripping too hard, and then drawing the hands away from one another as we're drawing our shoulder blades down our backs. Releasing here, shake it off. The variation of butterfly stretch. And I'll start to move us down towards the mat. If we're sitting in the chair, we can let our knees fall open and the soles of our feet towards one another. That's a little tricky to see me. And then actually for this one in the chair, we can settle back and relax. If we're on the floor, we can lean forward a little bit differently. So butterfly is one of those classic gym class stretches. Can we bring fresh eyes to it, even if we've done it a million times before? Maybe tonight we're approaching it from a different angle. We warmed up differently. You may feel we want to do some movement, drawing the knees up and then lowering them back away from one another, or windshield wiping the legs to help us settle in. And if we feel good leaning or hinging forward, of course, that's always an option. Our feet can be closer or further away, just different angles to the pose. So we might want to walk the feet forward if we like. Done a lot of movement. Let's slow it down. We can close our eyes. And introduce a 4-8 breath here. Inhaling for a count of 4, or exhaling for a count of 8. So if we love our butterfly stretch, I'll give us the option to return to it later. For now, let's come to seated. We can draw our legs forward, maybe shake them out. Lying on our sides on the mat, and if we are sitting in a chair, we'll do the same kind of movement, just sitting up. I'll go this way to start so I can take a look at you, but really however we're comfortable lying on one side. And we'll start by circling the shoulder of the top arm. So I won't call it out right or left. I'll call it, if we're on the mat, our top arm. And if we're seated, you could start with your right arm if you like, just to be conventional. We'll start from small to large. I know we've done a lot of shoulder movement today, so we won't do this one as long as I usually do, but I did want to throw it in here towards the end of our practice, starting to make it bigger. So our fingers are towards our shoulder, and the elbow draws the circle. Anywhere in here we find a tight spot, we can hold, pause, and breathe through the tight spot. We can take it open more to a 90-degree bend. Same thing, we can pause at any of these options. And the one that is the most work if we're sitting, and actually less work if we're lying down due to the nature of gravity, we could straighten the arm. Now be careful, I have this wall in behind me, so just be careful we're not knocking into anything going on around the house. Same idea, seek out a place where we are tight and we can let the arm hang out in that tight spot. If we notice the rest of the body moving with the arm, I would say we can let that happen, that's okay. So we're moving as a flowing fluid unit. And then seated or standing, we can, if there's room, tuck the arm in behind, pausing here, taking a moment to settle between sides. Let the arm that's been moving just be heavy. And to switch sides for sake of ease, since you know what's coming, feel free to turn away from me. I trust you to do this on your own. We'll start with circling, and for the sake of me looking at you, I will switch sides. But you can just kind of flip-flop over, however it's easiest. Our top arm, shoulder circles, if we're in the chair. Maybe it's your left arm this time. We can take thumb to shoulder, drawing circles now with the elbow. Seeking out tight spots, knowing that rest is always an option. If we feel the body is in some way moving with the arm, go for it. Why not let it all move as a system together? We can take it to our 90-degree bend or cactus arm. Option for a straight arm. Sometimes I think that bigger is better. It's not like the bigger variation is more advanced or better for you. They're all just different angles to work with the muscles of the shoulder, the muscles of the arm, the amount of tension on our connective tissue. So really, please don't feel any kind of pressure to like go hard or anything like that. I was listening to a talk with a meditation teacher recently, and he said, honestly, a lot of meditation is just feeling comfortable with curiosity. He said, if I could teach one mindfulness skill to everyone in the world, it would be curiosity. That's what I just keep coming back to. Okay, we can keep the arm moving if it feels good. If we like the option to drape the arm in behind or tuck the arm in behind. If you're up against the back of a couch or a chair, sometimes that pressure can hold the arm in there. It's not always accessible, possible, or even necessary, but it's an option. Pausing, letting our bodies just be for a moment. And if we're on the mat, we're making our way down to lie on our backs. I'll give us the option for a couple more here. Our supine twist. So when we were in the chair, we did a variation of a twisted pigeon. We may again like our twisted pigeon. So we're taking ankle over thigh, and then letting our lower body twist this time instead of our upper body twisting. If we're not fans of our twisted pigeon, we could, from a sometimes called constructive rest or neutral position, so our feet are planted, our knees are pointed up, we can let our knees knock to one side or stack knee over knee. So we have lots of different options, whether we're doing our basic twist in the chair, twisted pigeon in the chair, twisted pigeon on the floor, twisting on the floor. The idea is that as we twist our body, twists stimulate literal physical digestion, but there's also this concept that they stimulate digestion in our minds, our thoughts, our ideas. Maybe you learned something new, and having twists towards the end of our class can help us to digest those ideas or new learnings. We'll come up through center, and we'll take it to the other side. So just because we did a twist in one way on one side doesn't mean that's the maximum benefit on the other side. Challenging ourselves to be open and curious and comfortable with asymmetry. So yes, we can do our twisted pigeon or just our regular twist with our knees in line with our hips. Yogi's choice, and we know we always have a choice. When we're ready to come back through center, no rush. We can do any kind of movement to reset. Any final pose we'd like to finish with. We have the option of doing a variation of Happy Baby. So we kind of come into a sumo squat like we started with for our sun flow. So we can take our feet wide if we're on the chair, and then we're leaning our bodies forward. Or if we're on the mat, same position with the leg, but we bring our legs to the body. So if you're in the chair, you're sort of doing the upside down version of what I'm doing. It's traditional in our yoga practice to hold the big toe with our first two fingers. So we may be familiar with that. Pushing our toe against our fingers and our fingers against our toe can actually help build some strength in the underside of the feet, but we can really hold anywhere that feels like a natural landing place. Our ankles, our thighs, outside of the feet, the heels. Sometimes we're more aware of our breath if our belly is against our thighs, or we may feel inclined to add some rocking movement or swaying. Holding as long as it feels good to do so, and then when we're ready to release any kind of movement, to release this and reset, And we'll settle in for final relaxation. So this may mean we want to grab a drink or anything else we need, extra socks, blankets, etc. Oh, and I almost forgot. For our final relaxation, if we're sitting in the chair, we can let our soles of the feet towards one another and our knees open and lean back. And if we're on the floor, we can come into a variation of sleeping butterfly. Arms may be out to T, resting on the floor, or a variation that I like to call double diamond, because we make two diamonds with our body, as the name suggests. Arms overhead or behind the back of the head. But as always, it's our final relaxation, so please be relaxed. That may mean curling up in the fetal position, grabbing your cat or your dog, get more comfortable, snuggle up. You can pay attention to me. You can fall asleep. It's all good. This is our comfortable landing place. We begin with our breath. I'll give us enough time here to do 5 rounds of breath, and we'll go like this. Inhale for a count of 4, and exhale for a count of 8. You may like to pause with the lungs empty at the end, so it sort of looks like inhale 4, long exhale 8, and then just a gentle little pause, so we're not gripping and holding our breath. We may like to add voice to that exhale and let everything release. The idea is I'm giving us time here to really stretch out that exhale. This sends the message to our bodies to relax, release, wind down. And you know you've found a good breath pattern when you feel that happening to you. As you attend to the gentle flow of your own breathing, notice the occasional pull of the mind to get on to something else, to want it to fill up your time or to change what is happening. Instead of losing ourselves at these times, we can sit with the breath. Allowing each breath to unfold as it will. Watching, breathing, embodying stillness, and in a way we are becoming patience itself.